waiting for our streams.
Oh, waiting for our dreams. Oh, we're live. I can't go on with that song. All right,
you.
we're going to officially start this show in 3, 2. What is up, everybody? Welcome to Comic Book Club. I'm Alex.
I'm Justin.
Peter.
And we are coming to you live from a couple of places. We are live on Crowdcast right now. We're also live over on YouTube, the Tube, or we're coming to you as an audio podcast much later on, but that's okay. We love absolutely everybody evenly, and we have a great show for you tonight. Guys, this is going to be an extra long show because we are going to hashtag release the Snyder Cut of the show. That's right.
Yes, right.
This is our 4-hour long version of the show with all the footage you didn't get to see last week.
We're gonna release. We're gonna do a version of the worst show we ever did back in 2008, and we're just gonna extend it 4 times as long as it was initially, and add the Joker at the end for some reason.
Yeah, well, we do live in a society, so there you go.
Truth.
Absolute truth bomb there. And you know who else is going to drop some truth bombs? Our guest tonight. Later in the show, we're going to have Karl Stevens, the creator of Penny, a new book coming from Chronicle Books next month, mid-next month. We'll get to that in a moment. But right now, I'm going to invite our first 2 guests here. They are returning guests, talking about their book, I Am Hexed, which is currently up on Kickstarter. They are James, Emmett, and Kirsten Thompson. I see James here on the stream right now. Hello, James. Good to see your face again. How are you doing?
Back.
Thank you. How are you guys doing?
So good.
Great.
And here's Kirsten again, I think.
Hi, Kirsten.
Nope.
Bye.
She just heard me. She's like, I'm done. I can't.
Yeah, she's like,
Yeah, that was too much. I'm sorry there was like a rough interview question to start off with.
Today.
Hello?
The gotcha questions are too hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully she'll pop back in here.
Yeah, I hope it's working on her end.
We'll see what happens. In the meantime, while we're waiting for that to get set up, James, you have yet another successful Kickstarter on your hands. Congratulations.
I know. Thank you. It's very overwhelming and very exciting. I'm getting a possible message from her. So no, I mean.
I'm lost in the internet.
Like, are you okay?
I'm trapped in some sort of ones and zeros.
I think she's fine. I think.
right.
No. I don't know what's happening.
Well, here, I'll tell you what. This is a little bit of business. This is a little peek behind the curtain that I'm going to share with you. I'm going to remove her from the stream and invite her back in. So there we go.
Ooh, what a fun BTS moment.
I'll tell you what. I'm saying that in
The
case she
power.
hears us so she doesn't think that we just kicked her out.
Oh, okay. I see what you're doing there.
Yep.
But while Alex is booting everyone out of the
I'm
VIP
going to boot
room,
you as well, Justin.
I know.
Bye.
Bye. So great to see you.
I was almost out when you guys were talking about another 4-hour long movie. I was.
That's the right choice.
Yeah.
That's the test that we'll all have to pass or fail. Tell us about the Kickstarter. You keep crushing Kickstarters.
Oh, I know. Just one after the other. No, we've been very, very, very fortunate. Our fans, people come back for the book and want to see the full story, and it's super exciting. And it's a great story, and it has some really wonderful artists attached, and Kirsten's a great writer, and we've just been really lucky and fortunate. And, none of us knew what the quarantine pandemic awfulness was.
Yeah, I mean, us either.
So nobody knew what that was going to hand us. But we've been fortunate, and everybody seems to have come back. Oh, there she is.
Yep,
There it is. Right on cue, as if everyone needs to come back, and then boom, there she is.
Kirsten, how are you doing? Good to see you again as well. Also, congratulations on the huge success of your Kickstarter. I know you've talked about this before on the show, but for those who are tuning in for the first time, what's the basic concept? What's the pitch line of I Am Hexed?
And I think I've modified it a couple times since the beginning. So I think it's definitely political mystery, witches in Washington D.C. Modern day. It's pretty much the easiest way to put it. I usually say it's a political magical mystery with a carnivorous plant.
Nice.
That's pretty cool. Now, since the last time you've been on, though, witches have become hot They're very popular. They're big in the pop culture. Lots of stuff going on with that. Why do you think that is? I mean, obviously, you guys were ahead of the trend, so I want to give credit where it's due.
We were on the cutting edge. I want everyone to understand that we brought this about. Kirsten brought this about. I just helped. I think. Sorry, Kirsten, go ahead. What do you think?
I was drinking water, so I was letting you talk. So
the
division of labor there.
That's the lesson first.
Yeah.
I know. I'm always talking, so I'm like tired of my own voice.
No, I think that there are trends. I mean, vampires were big for a while, and then they weren't popular, and now they're, things sort of wane and surge, so witches are enjoying a resurgence in popularity. I think it's as simple as that. I think that some of the ideas of witchcraft and of magic, certainly we've seen different formats of them, and this is one format they can take.
Now, this is I believe, the final issue of the series. Why wrap it up now?
Arc, yeah. So this is the fourth, it's always envisioned as a 4-issue miniseries. And so this is the ending of this arc. There is more story. I do have, an outline,
Nice. You don't have to show us. We believe you. You don't have to prove anything.
James has seen the files. I have outlines for so many things. So I would be happy to write more. But right now, this is this particular arc. It's the end of this arc. So if you've been waiting to catch up on this arc, or you're just like, oh, I don't want to get it till there's all 4 issues, it's safe to do that now. You're not going to be left with a cliffhanger. There's more story, but this is, sort of a neat encapsulation of the first part.
Now, I was looking over the Kickstarter, which, again, super successful. You definitely don't need the patented comic book club bump, but you've got it anyway, so that's pretty good. But looking at this cover here, if you are watching it live, you can see that there's a cute little green guy on the right side here, and you made a plush of that. How soft and cushy is that plush?
That's Deme. That's what happens when your plants accidentally become carnivorous, so watch out. It's super cute and also is also kind of crabby, a little bit of a bad attitude. But yeah, the plush is super cute and super soft, and I had to hide it from my cats. Otherwise, they would have stolen it from me because it just is really, really soft. Yeah.
What is it like having merch like that in the real world? I have to feel like there has to be a difference between, you get the physical comic versus now there's something that's suddenly in 3 dimensions.
I think it's a really special feeling because it is something that you've created. That is a character that I envisioned, and then all the different artists portrayed it in their various ways, and all of them are gorgeous. And then to have that, something you can physically hold is a really unique feeling, I think.
Yeah. Are there plans, and maybe this is for you, James, to collect all of the issues in some sort of trade paperback now that the arc is done?
I mean, it's definitely a conversation that we've had because I think that's the reality of people like that format. They like to have it all bundled up and into one book. So that's definitely like a thing that Kirsten and I have talked about. But I think we also wanted to make it special and different and maybe include some other stuff in it, so it makes it more appealing and just kind of different than like, oh, here are our books again, like something that's going to make it just a little bit special. So we're definitely talking about it.
So you're saying release it as like a plush book, like a full, very very soft book.
It's gonna be like those old like children's books with like the furry parts. It's gonna be really furry in certain areas. Now it's getting dirty in my head.
Very quickly. I like where your head's at.
I didn't get it. It's been a long quarantine, you guys.
Yes.
No doubt about that. As someone who still reads a lot of those books, they're ready for an update. Let me be honest.
Exactly.
Other stuff needs texture.
Oh, God.
Kirsten, even with another arc or general ideas planned out about Am Hex, do you have another project in the work past this? Or are you just concentrating on like getting through this Kickstarter and that's all in your mind right now?
Well, I think, a Kickstarter sort of occupies your every waking moment when you're running one. Certainly, I know that James has texted me at hours when I know he's supposed to be asleep.
Wow.
I was like, go to bed. go to bed. Because it's simultaneously exciting and nerve-wracking, But I am, I did sign with an agent this past
Congrats.
time.
Congrats.
Yeah, so I did sign with an agent from KT Literary named Jas Perry, and she's lovely. And so I am working on a couple projects for her, which obviously aren't announced yet. But I am working on those. Yeah. So I actually have to write some pages tonight. I've got on my to-do list, write script.
Well, we won't keep you very much longer then, but the Kickstarter is going on for another 2 days. Is that right at this point?
Yeah,
or
I
is it
think
even
we're,
less at this point?
We have 42 hours left,
Okay.
or something.
Yeah, it ends on Thursday morning, I believe.
And you guys aren't sleeping until the Kickstarter's over. Is that right?
No rest till Brooklyn or something.
James is just going to be texting you for the next 42 hours straight.
Could we do a stretch goal of a nap of some sort, please? A nap
Yeah, I'm just going to sedate him, long distance sedation.
That'll be I'll have
I'm
a
here
2-week nap, and then the money will come in, and then the production starts, and I scramble, and I pack everything, and I freak out and get less sleep.
It's a healthy way to live, just in fits and starts.
I'm fine. I'm fine.
I'm fine. The more times you say it, the more I believe you. So
Yeah.
Start to cry, like I'm smiling,
fine.
rolling down.
Before we do let you go, though, if people are listening in and do want to pledge in the last 42 hours, beyond the plush, there's a bunch of other fun bonuses that you can get. Do you want to lay out a couple of the things that people could expect from the Kickstarter if they do want to check it out?
For sure. So there's we have the main cover by Paulina Gunnashow, who's come back, and she's always fantastic. And I've managed to wrangle her in a couple of times. She's just such a great person. And now we have Jen St. Ange, who returned. She did print for issue 1, and she just knocked out this awesome Kickstarter variant cover, which is really freaking fabulous. And then we have returning artist Yoshi Tani and Elaine Grace doing prints. They both do prints. And then we have a new artist named Bex Glendining, who did a awesome print. And you showed it earlier, and it was like the moon behind the witches and the witches flying in front of the... Anyway, it's a really awesome print. Anyway, everybody, all the artists, knock it out of the park. And of course, Amagoya Aguirre, who has returned to do interiors, and Taylor Esposito on letters. I mean, we were very fortunate. The Creative Coven, like I like to call them, including Kirsten, they're all freaking knocking it out of the park, and I couldn't be happier with everything that's come in. And there's there's tons of different rewards. So there's the prints, there's the Kickstarter variant cover, there's you can get a keychain, you can get these coasters that we designed that are really cool. So like when the world is somewhat normal and you want to have a party, and you can have some coasters to put your magical concoctions on. There's the
Ooh, nice.
Thanks. Nailed that.
You pulled it out at the end there.
You did it. I was imagining putting out coasters and having a party where I just sit in all the different chairs in my house until we're ready to.
Totally. Also,
just a sitting party.
You just put them out and pretend that you have people coming.
Yeah.
That's what my life is. I have posters out all the time. Like, I live alone. What's the plan, too?
Coasters are a thing of the past.
Oh, man. Well, again, congratulations. Very excited for both of you. Good to see your faces again. Hopefully we do get out of quarantine and do this semi in person at some point, and we'll share those coasters.
Absolutely.
Sounds good.
All right. Go get some sleep, James. Stop texting her.
No.
Never sleep, James.
Never
Keep living. Take it all the way to the edge. I'm with you.
Thank
Have
you.
a good night.
Bye,
Take
guys.
care.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right. There we go.
It's good to see them again.
It is good to see them again. James Emmett and Kirsten Thompson. The book is called I Am Hexed. It's on Kickstarter right now, unless you're listening to the podcast or watching the videos a couple of days from now, in which case, too late.
Oof. Wow, you're really always punishing people who are on your schedule, Alex. So sorry.
Get with the program. We're a live show, buddy.
Every week,
my
I go
God.
back to the very first episode of Comic Book Club, and I start listening again right after we finish.
Wow.
And sometimes I don't make it all the way back to the current one. But I want to really keep the continuity in my head.
Yeah, it's important to understand.
We have to release a
what were we
trade.
talking about?
We need to release a trade that just gets all of our main issues and deletes the things we repeat. So maybe honest is a lot. And we'll just
If we deleted all the things we repeat, the episode would be out of 10 minutes long, I think. So.
Yeah.
Have I told the story where David Copperfield made me disappear?
Oh, here we go.
Wow.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to invite our next guest into the stream
let's do
here.
that.
As mentioned earlier, he's the creator of Penny from Chronicle Books that's coming out on April 13th. It's a delightful book from the perspective of a cat named Penny, which we will talk about in a moment. And the thing that I'm particularly excited about is it brings together a lot of our interests because I have a daughter named Penny, Pete has a cat, and Justin, you like comic books, I believe?
Yes. I also only purchase things with pennies. And it's a real pain when it comes to like my bills. Mm-hmm. Very expensive shipping costs, pennies.
So you ship the pennies. How do you pay for the shipping?
Also pennies. So I ship pennies to FedEx to then get the postage to mail pennies to Con Ed.
Wow.
Oh God.
Con Edison.
You seem very unsure about that.
This,
I was like, do I know the answer to this?
this penny bit really paid off.
It's not a bit. We're clearly
there you
waiting.
go, Pete.
We're clearly waiting. Oh, Pete, why don't you chip in with something? Talk about your cat again.
Sure. Yeah, I don't want to repeat myself.
You know what? Where is your cat? Your cat has never made it on screen.
Oh, that's not true.
I'm almost doubting if this cat is even real.
I think you just sort of bend your head off camera and go, meow.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That was my cat.
That's
yeah.
But, the fans are. Bark.
Oh, there's my dog.
Alex has a dog. What a menagerie.
Rabbit.
Oh boy, you're getting a cat flown in here.
No.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, poor.
Sorry. I know that you said that was a cat, but that was just an old mop that you just poked into the frame, right?
No, man. When she's all sleepy, her fur gets like that. Don't make fun of her.
She's sleepy. Oh, that's nice. She has permanent bedhead.
That cat just sleeps all day. It's my dream life.
Except for when the cat is picked up and thrown in front of the camera very briefly.
That was awful.
Real drive-by.
I hope you guys are happy about that.
I am. That was great.
You made me want to do that. Cat won't talk to me for weeks.
Here, I'm going to give you guys a little peek behind the curtain here. It looks like Karl might be having some trouble connecting. So,
oh, really? Is that why we're still talking about this cat stuff? I said Con Ed a while ago, and that was like,
I'm gonna remove him and add him back in. Again, this is for Karl's benefit, so he understands.
Good. And
what's
Alex, real dedication to the stagecraft.
Thank you.
Keeping
that's what a good stage manager does, right? I mean, a lot of us don't remember theater, but what I seem to remember is the stage manager come out on stage and be like, "All right, so what we're doing?
We've had some problems."
Hey, there's a lot of calls for Pip, so I don't believe Pip exists.
There's one call for Pip, and we all know Pip exists because he's around.
There's a second call for Pip, your dog.
There's a lot of
Pete.
Pip.
Oh, third one, fourth one. Wow, this is really building steam.
People want Pip.
Pip 2020.
Pip is my dog. Pip is so many floors away, and I don't have anyone who's watching this.
Hey! There we go. Hey, Karl, how are you doing?
Great, thanks. How are you?
Good.
Sorry
thanks for coming.
that.
No, it's fine. We're a year into the pandemic, and literally none of us, including the companies, have figured out how to make any of this work. So there you go. It's all
only
good.
been a year.
Yeah, they'll figure it out eventually. Once we're outside in the park, which is a thing we'll all be doing shortly.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Wow, outside.
You promise?
Yeah. Alex made it.
If it doesn't stop
promise.
snowing.
Yeah, exactly.
Has it been
And
snowing
That's
anymore?
It's happening on Friday, I think, here, which is ludicrous.
Yeah.
That's not what you're here to talk about. You're not here to talk about the weather report. Let's talk about Penny, which is coming out on April 13th, as mentioned, from Chronicle Books. This is
Actually, no.
Oh, no.
It's coming out April 20th because there's a national shipping problem at the ports. So it got bumped a week. April 20th. 420.
Oh,
Nice.
okay.
Sweet, man.
Congrats.
Sweet.
Much
It's kind of appropriate. I don't want to spoil too much about your book, but the cat gets pretty high in your book, so I think that's going to work
There's
out
not much
nicely.
to do.
Yes.
There's
So
not
the
much to
thing
do in the apartment.
That's fascinating about this book. This is billed as a true life story, but it's also from the perspective of your cat. Talk to me about that.
Well, I mean, I'm sure Pete can understand this, but
Yeah.
you know, our
I have no idea about cat ownership. Is it anything like
Well-
having children or
Nope.
it's not like that. What about, is it anything like owning a big scary pair of shears like this?
Well, in a sense, I mean, but only if the pair of shears takes a dump in a box several times a day that you have to,
and then you got to
scoop out
clean that up. Yeah.
and flush it down the toilet.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I mean, you know, well, Penny, like when we got her, like she just had this really sad look on her face, and you know, my like wife and I just kind of started to develop this like inner life for her, and so yeah, I mean, it kind of like grew out of that, but really, well, it like started as like a weekly comic strip for the Village Voice.
Cool.
At the end of 2016, and I was approached by them to just come up with a strip through Tom Spurgeon. Like, do you guys know?
Oh, yeah.
Or like
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
who
Oh,
Tom was?
Yeah.
So like Tom was like sort of like a de facto agent, like because I guess the Voice was in the market to find some weekly cartoonists because they wanted to, you know, like create this like roster of cartoonists to, you know, come up with strips. And so I auditioned for it, and you know, like nothing that I pitched them was like working for them. And it was actually kind of funny because they like brought me into a meeting, and, you know, not to name the editors, but they were like, yeah, so like we heard that there's something going on down in Brooklyn. Could you come up with like an idea about, you know, like all the hip stuff that's happening in Brooklyn?
Wow.
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 And I was like,
That's-
well, you know, I'm like in my late 30s, so I could try, but so then, you know, I like came up with a couple ideas, you know, just about people trying to pay rent, and, you know, they didn't.
The hip kids.
yeah,
just
you know,
making
they were
it
like-
big,
Yeah, skateboards.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
Now you're
eating
speaking
beef
my
jerky.
language.
Yeah, just hanging
So
out.
they were like, you know,
Sucking on chili dogs outside the Tasty Freeze. I know exactly, what you're talking about.
You know, playing stickball.
Yeah.
So you know, like those ideas like were rejected. So then, you know, I asked my wife, you know, like what should I do? She's like, well, why don't you write about Penny? So then,
Aw.
you know, so then I just started, you know, transcribing like all these ideas that I had about it, and it just kind of like evolved from there. And the strip only lasted about 6 months. Well, because like they were paying me like $1,000 like per strip, and, you know, I'm pretty convinced that's why they don't exist anymore.
Yeah, I was gonna say, R.I.P. Village Voice. You took them down. Their cat
Yeah.
was too cute, too well drawn.
Yeah, this is beautiful, man.
Well, thanks, I appreciate it. So I made like a little mini, you know, comic with it, and I was like selling it at like cons, you know, and I was next to this cartoonist Marika Makula, and she was like, "This is great, you know, like I know somebody at Chronicle, you know, you should pitch this, you know, I bet it would make, you know, like a great book, you know, a collection of cat comics. I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer."
Yeah.
So so then I like found an agent, Meg Thompson, who worked with like one of my writer friends, and she pitched it and like sold like immediately.
Wow.
So then
I
like,
love everyone in your life is like, hey man, this cat is great, and you're like, I don't know, I'm doing this other stuff, really cool stuff. And they're like,
well,
no, do the cat, man.
yeah, I mean that's the story of my career. career, man.
Can't we can just put quotes around all that stuff. Life,
Yeah,
I live in a basement, all these things.
yeah, I know. I mean, I got to start listening to, you know, all the advice about just keeping it simple. You know, like I'm trying to write some like epic, like, you know, fantasy, like sword and sorcery, like Frank Thorne kind of thing, and they're like, no, just keep it simple.
Make it
Or
like
cat.
Write about the cat's thoughts. So yeah, but I mean, you know, like Penny's really about just, you know, like what it's like to be like a house cat, you know, I mean, especially like in our apartment, because it's, you know, it's only 900 square feet, and, you know, there's not like a lot of room to like kind of roam around, and, you know, I would imagine that would get really depressing.
Aw.
So so it's like a lot of like her kind of musings on that, but then she like discovers that there's a portal that's inside the couch, and that takes her to like this like other realm, and like she discovers that there's this whole other world of like other cats that are like out there. So oh wait, that's the sequel. But no, but like that there's like this whole other realm, and like, you know, she just goes on adventures, and so, you know, it's kind of give and take. I mean, it's definitely more of like a collection, you know. It's sort of like, you know, like Garfield, I don't know, on acid.
Yeah.
That's great. Like we were showing off with the art from inside the book, it's really gorgeously rendered. How much of it were you doing as photo reference from your actual cat, and how hard is it to get photo reference of a cat who probably doesn't want to stand still or move in the right way at all?
Oh yeah, it's the worst. Yeah, I mean, I'm constantly, you know, I'm constantly taking photos of her. You know, I've taken like video. I mean, like that helps too. So if you want to get technical about it, but
how has your relationship with Penny changed now that you're like really she's your muse?
She's gotten fatter because
Confident.
You know,
All the treats you got to give her to do stuff.
yeah. I mean, it might be like depression or it's probably just the food that we're giving her.
Oh no.
So,
It'll be both.
yeah, I don't know.
Now, wait, I have to ask, and this isn't to like pimp you out at all, but given you are, I assume, doing this from home, is Penny somewhere in that apartment?
She is. Hey, Alex, could you bring Penny over so we can pimp her out?
Oh wow!
Yes!
And another
Bring
cat.
forward the cat.
Huh?
It's like Penny says no. Penny's in her chamber.
Yeah.
Penny doesn't come out for less than $500.
Yeah, here she comes.
I'm so sorry for those listening at home. I'll quickly describe it. It's a cat. It's a big cat.
It's the
a
most
big cat.
adorable cat.
That
Look
is
at that. Oh,
beautiful cat.
I know. Yeah, like
Now-
she has gotten kind of big.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Does she know
freaked
that
out.
you wrote a book about her?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I am probably like a little crazy, but I'm probably not that crazy.
Was there anything?
But
I mean,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
but-
like, once I get the books, I'm sure she'll read it. So we haven't got ours yet.
Yeah,
Oh,
it'll be interesting
sorry.
to see
Sorry,
her
go ahead.
reaction to pictures of herself. So you were mentioning
It'll-
this a little bit when you're talking about the description, but certainly there's a lot of fantasy things that go on here where you're managing the inner life of the cat, as well as just very, in the best way, banal things where it's just the cat going about her day and doing her thing. Was there anything that you felt like, no, this is too ridiculous? This is something that Penny would never do?
Oh, that's a good question. No, I mean, you know, well, is there something that you're thinking of?
No, nothing in particular. I'm just curious, like, because you are trying to be in the best way very realistic about what a cat might do, even though obviously we can't hear cats' thoughts. But I'm just wondering if there was a time when you got to the dialogue and you're like, I got to tweak this. My cat would not actually say this.
No, I mean, you know, I think I have my finger on her pulse. I mean, you know,
Literally sometimes.
yeah, I mean, you know, I feel like I can like transcribe like what those expressions are. I mean, like I'm not just like projecting that onto her, you know. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how to answer that.
I want to say one of my favorite is when the cat is like watching something outside, and it's like, oh man, I wish I could murder those. You know, that was a real fun moment. I thought that was a great kind of. I really felt like you got inside the cat for that one. Like, it feels like you really understand your cat.
Pete,
Yeah,
Carl's not writing
I mean-
about your cat. Carl's writing about his cat. If you want to see a book about your cat, Pete, you have to write it.
Okay, I'm gonna
No.
It seems like I would have to do a lot of drugs to really kind of the amount of mind work that he's doing there is very impressive.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm sure Penny really misses murdering things. I mean, you know,
It's like all of us.
yeah, it's got to be a drag. I mean, you know, fortunately, but unfortunately for her, you know, there aren't many rodents or, you know, cockroaches in the apartment. So
Maybe think about getting some mice.
I know, I keep thinking about it. I mean, you know, every time I walk by a rat on the street, I'm like, should I catch that and bring it
Should
in?
bring you home.
Should I bring?
Yeah.
So since this came out of a little bit of a game where you're imagining what the inner life was like, and now that's become your job, do you not play that game anymore? Is it like a chef who's like, I don't want to cook at home, I just order it?
What? I'm like talking to my cat.
Yeah. Have you stopped talking to your cat?
No, every day.
Alex
Actually,
has big intervention vibes right now. He's like, hey, so listen, are you talking to your...
I am, but she keeps. I mean, she used to tell me to kill the president, but like she stopped recently. So I don't know what the deal is.
She's a Biden voter.
Yeah, I guess.
Sometimes
so.
you wake up and there's like a knife and instructions on your pillow.
Right. Yeah, but they're like really tiny.
Yes.
I am actually curious, since you talked about, and I know it sounds like the Village Voice was a very specific, very weird sort of opportunity, but is newspaper comics something you've pursued at all since? Have you seen that particular job path change at all over quarantine or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, well, I spent a long time at the Boston Phoenix. I was there for about 7 years doing a weekly comic, and like that was about being like a 20-something like slacker. And
wait, was that like similar to the Dig in Boston?
Yeah, but it was a lot bigger. I mean, they stopped publishing in 2013, but like they had started like in the 60s.
Yeah,
and
I remember that. I lived in Boston for a year. I remember the Phoenix well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, they were like, the like alt weekly. They had like all the show listings and everything. So, but they, I like won a Zero grant to do like my first book, and they did like a review of it. This is like in 2005, and they had asked me to do a weekly strip that was based on the book, which is about being a hipster living in Alston.
Wow.
So yeah. So I mean, I like kind of got a taste of like what the newspapers were doing as far as like comics, like back then, and but I guess my point is that like even back then it was sort of in decline. Like you could tell that they just didn't have like the resources to like support. I mean, comics are always the first to go. Art's always the first to go.
Yeah.
So I mean, I feel like that's even more true now. Almost 10 years later. It's like what even exists anymore? I mean, like where are the newspapers?
Yeah, I mean, it's just hearing you talk about the Phoenix, and in the comments, people are talking about like that's where you look up shows to go to, and I lived in Boston, I think 2003, and like it was like, what are we doing? Let's go. Let's go to the Cantab. It's Bluegrass night at the Cantab or whatever, and just like bouncing around the city, reading the Phoenix to get us there. I'm sure I encountered your stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, no, that was like right before I started doing it. Yeah. I mean, I was doing illustrations and stuff, but yeah, it was before the comics. But yeah, I mean, I think like a lot of the revenue was from like the adult like personal ads that were in the back. And once, I mean, it's true.
Yeah,
same for the Village Voice.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like same for the Voice. But I mean, like once like Craigslist started coming around, and then like dating apps, I think it was kind of like the death knell for that. And I mean, that's like one reason, but there's like a whole like myriad of reasons, but it's sort of like the internet in general, But I mean, I feel like that's where, I mean, it's like webcomics, right? It's like Patreon. I mean, like if you want to do like a regular comic strip, you should do something like that, just get people to pay you like $5 a month and just do a daily strip, just build up an audience,
Yeah.
All right,
I mean,
let's do it, guys.
Because you'll like have like all the freedom in the world, and you can write about whatever you want. Like you don't have like some editor like in like Tulsa telling you not to write a joke about I don't know, X, Y, and Z.
Yeah,
But-
that's a lot of my jokes.
To that end, then, so you got Penny coming out next month. Are there thoughts about continuing that, whether online or in a second volume or anything like that?
Oh yeah, I mean, I have like 2 books written like in script form that are like straight narratives, like a hero's journey for both of them. So yeah, we're gonna see how Penny does, and then we'll pitch it.
Okay.
Awesome.
So,
Did you ever think you would spend so much time writing about your cat?
not at all. Not at all. I mean, I like I loved Garfield and like Calvin and Hobbes. I mean,
yeah,
I was like, I grew up in the 80s and 90s, so like Calvin and Hobbes was like, it was like my jam, So I kind of always wanted to be like a newspaper comic strip artist, but I mean, it's 2021. I mean, like that field is just completely erased, So it's just all about the graphic novel. I mean, even like comic books, because like later, like after comics, after like comic strips in the paper, I got into like Marvel and DC and like Mad Magazine. I mean, like even that like format is just completely antiquated. I mean, you guys know this, right?
What?
I'm
Why should my dreams, man?
Really horrifying.
So so it's all books. So you have to like kind of retool your brain. It's like, okay, I want to be a cartoonist, so I need to write longer narratives. I mean, even like this collection is like sort of an anomaly. Like a collection of strips. So
yeah.
Well, I think it still works. You're saying it's a collection of strips, but at the same time, reading through it, there's these great little stories there. There are connecting fibers throughout it. Like you said, there's the recurring theme of the portal that Penny is looking at that's super fun, that builds to a fun climax. So I do feel like it splits the difference between feeling like a daily strip and feeling like something that it is a continuing and building story over the course of the volume.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I mean, like I had to break it up because otherwise it couldn't be Penny a graphic memoir. It would be Penny a suicide note.
Oh no! Oh man,
dark, very dark. But it's all right. No,
do you often find yourself looking around your apartment like, okay, what else? What else?
Yeah, well, what else? I can talk to Calvin Hobbes.
Maybe that's
there is another. There is another cat. We have two cats.
What?
Oh,
wait, who's your... dropping this towards the end of the interview, Carl.
Wait, is the second one named Milo? Please tell me it's Milo.
That's my son's name, so he's wondering if you named your cats after my children.
Or vice versa, Alex.
Yeah.
I thought you were referencing Milo and Otis.
Yeah.
Me too. I actually thought that.
So did I when we named my son.
Milo's a great name. Well,
Thank you.
Like Bloom County.
Yeah.
There's a character Milo.
Yeah, there's a couple of Milos out there. Not a ton, though. But what is your cat named?
Pepper.
I had a cat named Pepper when I was a kid.
No.
Pepper, yeah. It was a barn cat that we got that would talk about murdering animals. It would murder the animals, leave them on the porch, and then it could kill a bird with its back legs. It would stand there, wait, and flip up, dig its back claws into the bird and ground it, and then tear it apart.
Jesus.
Horrifying.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a monstrous, just murder weapon.
Does Pepper get jealous of the fact that Penny gets to be a superstar?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, totally. Well, I mean, Penny is like the alpha cat anyways. So,
okay.
I mean,
Wow.
like, Penny goes to the food first. Pepper just sits by and watches, and waits her turn.
Wow.
Yeah. Penny's a lot thinner than, Pepper's a lot thinner.
This is
You're
sad.
about weight.
Tell you, shaming poor Penny.
Yeah.
I know. It's bad.
I
It's
feel
my
like
own.
there's
It's my own problem.
there's real drama here. I feel like Pepper's waiting for the moment.
Yeah, there's a
to rise
lot
up.
of books here in your apartment.
Oh, yeah,
though,
no. Yeah, no, I mean, like that is the sequel. I mean, I'm just gonna reveal it all. No, no, I mean, yeah, because I think, well, I mean, I am pretty excited about the sequel. I mean, because that's what I'm thinking about now. Well, I mean, I have like another project that I'm about to start that I'm just illustrating. That's a horror comic, but that's all I'll say. But it's going to be big.
Ooh.
It's a great story. It's big. It's going to be with a big publisher.
Very cool. Let me get. Is there a third cat in your apartment?
There might be.
I like you.
It's a ghost cat.
Keep promising.
I'm like Penny goes to Hawaii. You know that?
Yes,
love it. That always goes there. That's usually the third movie, and then the fourth or fifth one is going to be Penny in space, I assume.
Yeah. Oh, right. Just like Tintin, or Down Under.
Yes. Either way.
Great call. Down Under was the space before we knew about outer space.
That's true.
Carl, before we let you go, any final thoughts? Any things you want to mention to people who might be interested in picking up Penny?
Well, Penny is, despite all the dark, depressing comments is actually quite funny, and I think that anyone who is a fan of humor and cats would really enjoy it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Karl, thank you so much for coming on the show. It was a pleasure seeing you. Hope to see Penny in
Likewise.
Space or Penny v. Pepper, Dawn of Cats.
Yes.
2025.
Yes, let's do it.
Have a good night, Karl.
Take care.
All right, you too.
Great talking, Karl.
Yeah, there we go. Karl
man.
Stevens, as mentioned, Penny is coming out April 20th from Chronicle Books. Check it out. Justin is doing something.
He's got to just get himself a beer. It's fine. Just kind of, just roll with it. Way to be professional, man.
Listen, this show is all about pulling back the curtain and showing people how these shows work. They're fascinated. They want to know because it's such a mysterious process.
Yeah,
he
I want to know.
He had to go to his mini fridge behind him there.
Who are you kicking out from the room now and then invite them back in?
Pete, any second. But not the audience, because we're going to move to our next section, which is audience questions. And for that, I think you all know how this goes. If you're over on Crowdcast, drop a question and ask a question. If you're over on YouTube, drop a question in the comments. I will keep an eye on that. But before that, as always, let's talk about what you're drinking. Justin, you just stepped out from the mini fridge. What you drinking?
I wish I had a mini fridge, but I don't. I was plugging in my laptop. I'm drinking a little easygoing.
That's a box. That's
extra mile. Huh? Yeah, beer in a box. Yeah.
Wow. I've heard of the wine in a box, but never beer.
How is
That's
that?
fancy.
Southern Tier, one of my faves.
Southern Tier, it's good. It's like a chill, sort of lighter IPA.
Nice. Pete, what about you? What are you poisoning yourself with this week?
I'm keeping it classy, the champagne and beers. For some reason, I have a neon sign that when I close my eyes, I can kind of see that reminds me to drink the High Life.
There we go. I'm having a Lagunitas.
Whoa,
IPA.
peeling off the label. You all right, buddy? You okay? Oh, no. That's
I'm fine.
a bad sign.
Yeah, that was a real crusty sound effect.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure about this beer or my survival to the end of the show, so we'll see what happens. Let's go to some questions here. This is from Edward Doherty. Good question. I don't think we've ever gotten this one. What makes a good superhero logo?
Ooh. Let's see. A Spider Man?
Oh, boy.
I mean, I guess the question is we could be talking about like the Punisher symbol on the Punisher, or we could be talking about the title treatment, either way. And I think when it comes to the title treatment, that's a little easier to identify. It's something, this sounds stupid to say, but that you can clearly read. That is clear and simple.
I think the spirit of the question is less about the font and more about the logo.
But I do think, if that's what we're talking about, something like there are some times when you'll get something that's an overcomplicated, too many words, not clear enough, too much going on. It's hard to read what the exact name of the thing is from across the store or something like that. You want something that you can look at like above that comic book rack and immediately be able to identify.
Yeah, you want to think about something that was like, if it was projected in the clouds, you could understand what's going on. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like you want a title like Batman and Superman versus Vampires and Werewolves.
Right. That's the sort of thing that you can easily understand because there's not 4 fonts going on at the same time.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, I feel like this answer or this question should be more for like a graphic designer about like, you want to have clean lines. You want to have a simple image that kind of grabs your attention, makes you kind of stop, be like, ooh, what is this? Tell me more. And you want to have the symbol kind of represent what's inside,
Nice. Coming at it from a real branding perspective. I love the idea that the Punisher, when he was first figuring out what to do with all his guns, it was like, what should I graphic design here? Skull. That's cool. And he was like,
cool.
Maybe
some bullets. No.
Did he contact a friend who worked for a small ad agency? He was like, hey, would you mind drawing me a fucked up skull for my shirts?
I mean, I'm sure Pete would agree the absolute best origin of the Punisher skull is from the Thomas Jane version where he found it in the ocean.
Canonical.
Yep.
Yeah.
And nautical.
Oh, boy.
I like my Punisher nautical.
I think I stopped watching the movie at that point when he was wandering on the beach and he found the Punisher shirt in the ocean. He's like, well, this is my shirt now.
Was that the idea that it was like a pirate thing? Like he was like,
I don't know
look at
what's
this
going on there.
A pirate left his
I'm not
shirt
going to
here.
explain it to you because you guys are way off, and I'm not even going to. It's not even
No,
worth.
that's way on target.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Are you saying our cursory watch of the Punisher movie isn't
Yeah.
enough to get in the head of the
Yeah,
character?
because as someone who's seen the movie numerous times knows the answer, and you're driving me insane. Yeah.
Plus,
It's his son. His son made the shirt for him, you pieces of shit.
Didn't
washes
you,
it out of the ocean.
Yeah, because
it was
the
in a
whole
little
thing got
bottle.
shot up. Oh my god, I hate.
No,
you know
didn't
what?
he go to like a
Oh,
lake? Didn't he go to a lake house and it was in the mailbox? And every time, like he passed it to Sandra Bullock, and then it was like,
Yeah. that's
Wait, I'm
exactly-
sorry. I do have a question about this. His son made him a skull shirt.
Yeah.
If my son made me a skull shirt, I'd be like, "What the fuck?"
Well, I'm glad you don't have a son then.
well, he
You
does have a
shouldn't
son.
judge your kids. art
What do you
project.
know? What do you know?
What's
When was the last time? No. All right.
Don't go there.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, I just I think there are logos that, like the Punisher logo, that has an objective, which is to draw attention, and so you don't shoot them in the head. But I think like someone brought up in the comments, Selvin, you design our logos for the podcast and stuff like that. What is something you're trying to do?
Well, it's the sort of thing that when you're going into a comic book store, you want to be able to look across the room and clearly get what the title
Well,
is.
hello.
Yeah.
I couldn't help but notice you staring at me from across the room. I'm just a logo.
No, I mean, I'm not a professional graphic designer or anything. I think, first of all, we had my friend Stefan designed the new comic book club logo, and one of the big things the three of us talked about when we were sending ideas his way was our earlier logo, which he had also designed, which we used for about a decade, was great, but the font was a little chunky. There was a lot going on in the background. It wasn't really concentrating on the logo. And we wanted something that still felt a little comic booky, because that's the idea of our show, but something that drew attention directly to the letters of the logo. And he came up with this very Kirby Crackle-esque thing that was radiating outwards, so it draws your attention into the middle there. And I think it's the same thing with any of the podcast logos. For the most part, knowing, and this is getting very in the weeds, but knowing that when these things end up socially, in particular, they crop them to sort of a not a square, but the center of it. Try to center the logo, make it clean, make it the sort of thing that as somebody is scrolling through iTunes or Google Podcasts or whatever, where it's going to be some bold colors that jump out at them, and they're going to know immediately what it's about. Like, that's when you're looking through, you'll see a lot of these places will just be like, Riverdale After Show, so that when you see a tiny square, you can know exactly what it is. We do a little more than that, but
I just want you to design a logo for me that when people are scrolling through podcasts for my war journal, that they just their eyes drawn to it. You know what I mean?
well, I know in the
this-
Thomas Jane movie, his podcast came out of the ocean, right? His podcast logo is
Hey,
like,
watch
this is the one. Send. Good stuff. Good
This
movie.
is good stuff.
We got a question here on YouTube from Nelson Martinez. Having Disney Plus, I realized that I haven't seen many Pixar movies. What are some of your guys' top Pixar films?
Ooh,
Ooh.
great stuff. A lot of good ones.
I'm a sucker for an emotional cry, so I like a lot of them. And then you got Lewis Black and Inside Out. That's me all day and all night.
Nice. What ones make you cry the most, Pete? Or the ones that you're like, oh, I want to watch this again?
Well, I mean, it depends on what kind of mood you're in. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you want like a little sad, touching story, like Up. You know what I mean? With some,
Yeah.
some
Do you want to
comedy
cry?
scene.
Do you want to cry at the beginning of the movie, like
Yeah,
Up, or
yeah,
at the end
yeah.
of the movie, like Wally?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing. Either way, you're gonna cry.
Believe me,
Wally is
A Soul is good. I cried at Soul in a
Yeah.
good way.
Yeah. Toy Story 2. Toy
of course
Story
you're gonna
3,
pick the newest
Toy
one,
Story.
Dustin.
Yeah, recency bias.
Yeah.
Toy Story 4. I mean, I watch these movies on a almost everyday basis, Pete. So it is truly in rotation. Just watch Toy Story 4 again. That movie is great, just from an emotional standpoint.
It's so funny that because, and I don't know if you feel this way, but because the first trilogy of Toy Stories are so good that I always forget about Toy Story 4. Like, I'm like, wow, Toy Story 2, Toy Story 3, perfect trilogy. Oh, there was another one? Oh, I forgot about. Even though it is very good.
It's so good. Well, we have a real Bo Peep hive in my house, so that's why we're watching that one. And it is really good. It's the most sort of like, because Toy Story 3 has the absolute existential crisis moment that is like just arresting that they put that in a movie where like they're like, hello, children watching this movie. Think about what your life is. Which is so shocking. And so it's like both emotional and like mentally like hard to handle for a kids movie for sure. Quote unquote kids movie. But the fourth one is so like cinematic and it feels like it's sort of touching on all this great cinematic history of these great romances and has all these like wild things happening as well. So it's great.
Good stuff. And of course, Cars 2. All right, let's move on.
Coco.
Coco, great as well.
Yeah.
Brave, pretty good.
Oh yeah,
Right.
Brave's great, man.
Yeah. Bug's Life, way underrated. I think I love A Bug's Life. A Bug's Life is actually the one that I think doesn't necessarily make me cry, but it's the one that I enjoy watching. It's very funny and very underrated.
Real
Pete,
easy watching.
You don't like it?
I don't know. No, I don't know why you hated on Brave and you were like, "Oh, A Bug's Life." No, fuck that. Brave was better than that.
They don't have to fight.
Yeah, they can all be good. You can watch them all on Disney Plus. We missed this for the guests, but Luana says, for the guests, who is your fave pop culture witch? I mean, I guess it's a good question for everyone. So there you go.
I know Alex's answer.
Wait, what's my answer?
Your answer's Agatha, clearly.
No, Sabrina, man.
Really?
Yeah.
You're sticking with Sabrina, though, even though you went so hard on Agatha Harkness.
Where's
enjoyable.
Dorcas? Come on, why aren't you saying Dorcas?
I mean, if we're talking about, you could say Dorcas.
Yeah,
I was teeing you up for that.
I know. I think Alex forgot Dorcas,
I think that's
Dorcas.
yeah.
which is the natural state of Dorcas. Her greatest spell was forgetting.
Yeah.
Forgetting about it.
No, Agatha's great. It's just, that just happened. It's a more concentrated thing. Over time, we've had a lot more Sabrina.
Yeah, I know. You don't have to tell me about how much Sabrina we've had. I feel like we talked more about Sabrina than almost anything else in pop culture, I think.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, just real quick, John George says, I always had Alex pegged as an Ants fan, and it's very tough when you're the middle child of a billion people. Not this week? Bad week to do this?
Bad week to be doing it, A.
Yeah.
B, don't sift through the comments to find some little news peg so you can go off on one of your bevy of impressions you got on there. Yeah, exactly. You dug for that one.
Yeah, that happened 50 minutes ago. That's wild. Wait, did you have a pop culture witch, Justin?
Favorite witch? I'm trying to think of a not one that's been said.
Baba Yaga.
Yeah, cool. Very cool witch. I gotta go Sabrina as well.
All right, there you go. Great. There we go. We got one from Kevin. Who are some of your favorite plant-based characters in or out of comics? I'll say Audrey 2 from Little Shop of Horrors. Little Shop of Horrors is my favorite musical of all time.
That tracks.
Audrey 2.
Yeah. I gotta say Bob the Angry Flower. I don't know which Comic-Con we were at, but we were at one Comic-Con and I was in Artist Alley and there was this guy who draws this like very pissed off daisy flower and it was hysterical. I stopped and read his book and then bought it. It was just a delight to see such a adorable thing so mad at the world.
Yeah, I guess the anger drew you in. What's the dude? I mean, Swamp Thing, I guess.
Sure.
He's a plant guy I like.
Yeah. Groot.
Groot, yes.
Eduardo pointed that out.
Mm-hmm. What about the plant guy from Harley Quinn? He's pretty good.
Yeah.
You talking about Poison Ivy?
Yeah.
That plant character. No, she has a talking plant that's playing.
Oh, right.
I'm forgetting who does the voice, but it's fun.
Yeah, it's oh my god. Now you made me forget it. I was just about to say it, and then you were like, "Oh, it's
Pete, didn't you have a plant?
JB Smooth." That's who it is. JB Smooth.
Didn't you have a pet poison ivy plant for a while?
That's not funny.
First hand up
Highly
guy
allergic
says Krakoa. That's a good answer.
No, it's
Pete,
not.
do you prefer Krakoa or Araco? Which is your favorite plant island that fucks?
Neither.
Okara? Yeah, that's an option. I don't think so. I don't know about that one. Here we go. Stray Bullet says, I don't know if this got answered last week. Huh. I should have vetted this. What happened to Kevin's secret quiz?
Oh, why did you do that? Oh, man. Oh, got him.
It's like after how after you have a
invite him in. You gotta invite him in now.
After you have a big Thanksgiving meal, which is what we did last week, you gotta take a little break, take a little nap, watch a little football, chill, and then you go back in for the second half. You go back for dessert because we got through 6 questions, half of Kevin's quiz totally last week. And it only aged us several years to get there. So we're gonna come back and we gotta wait for the Kevin heads to come. We have to light them up again in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, we'll do it in a couple of weeks. We will.
What are you talking about? He's got new puppets. He's queued up for us. I mean,
Pete, you want to do this? You want to bring Kevin in? Is that what's going on?
I am.
It's not even about like. I remember how we were like we lost it. We were fully broken by doing that. We can't do that again so soon. We were giggling like idiots.
All right, you're right. For the sanity, you're correct. We should.
I can't live
another little time.
Having lost it like that. Go back to my family upstairs and and again I'm in a third sub basement here. I'm like weeks
to get back upstairs. You've got to pass a certain level of
exactly. I get the bends if I do it too fast.
All right, here we go. First stand up guy says, who are your favorite cats from comic books, not comic strips? Fuck those cats.
Whoa.
Wow. Very aggressive.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'll say Dexter, Green Lantern, Red Lantern cat. That's a good cat.
Yeah.
That's a mean cat.
That's the first thing I thought of too. Oh man, let's see.
There's Robbie Baldwin, Speedball. He had a cat that had his speedball powers for a while. Very down for that.
I guess I'll say Panthro.
Yeah. Ooh, Lion Cat is a good one. Beer Cat PhD says that.
Lion Cat.
And she has a PhD in cats, so
that's
she
right.
definitely knows what she's talking about.
Split PhD between beer and cat. That's right.
It's the perfect doctor.
Here we go. Oh, more cat questions from Josh. Garfield, Heathcliff, Felix. Which animated cat would you want? To represent you?
They reverse the order.
Hold on. No, this is not the question. Garfield, Heathcliff, Felix, which animated cat would you want to represent you in a court of law?
Wow. I mean, 100% Felix.
No.
Just to check, I know this isn't in the question. Foggy
Heathcliff.
Nelson is a big old cat, right?
Yeah. He definitely purrs. He
falls asleep in the sun.
He sleeps at the end of Matt Murdock's bed and purs like a little cat.
He eats cat food for every meal.
You two are horrible people. Horrible people.
Wait, you're saying Heathcliff would be a better lawyer?
Yeah.
He lives in garbage.
Yeah, but he runs it like a fucking well-oiled machine. He does so many scams. He's running things left and right.
That's who you want your lawyer to be?
Organized. He is organized and crafty.
He eats fish bones for lunch.
Yeah, all you gotta do is pay him fish bones. He'll be happy. I mean, it's a no-brainer.
Felix the cat.
Yeah,
Felix. You don't know if he's going to be able to talk or not. It's a whole thing. And
he's
Garfield's
got a bag of tricks. Felix is pulling evidence out of his bag of tricks like nobody's business.
Is he the one that fucks? Felix?
Excuse me?
From the X-rated movie. Which is the cat from the X-rated movie?
What are you talking about?
What X-rated
Alex,
movie?
you have to moderate your habits.
Fritz the cat, not Felix. Thank you, Kevin.
What are you talking about?
Look, get this. Save this for your.
I can't move on.
Comic book club after dark.
What just happened?
There was
Alex's question. Is that the cat that fucks?
Which one's the one that goes hard? Like, what's the one that's like?
Also, Alex, you want that cat to represent you? Some sort of porno cat?
Yeah, you want a porno cat representing?
Is that because you're on trial for some sort of pornographic related crime? I mean,
No. This is a pretty famous movie. It was a whole animated movie. It was X-rated. I think it was the first X-rated movie, and it was a full length, and it was a cat that fucks.
Yes, no, I'm familiar with it, but when you drop it in that way, it was surprising because there were three options here. I thought you were implying that Garfield 100% fucks.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here we go.
Well, I don't know if the volume is going to play is the only thing, but like.
Oh, I think we'll get the point whenever we see some true pornography happen here.
Right. Well, I think we could probably stop that.
There you go. Here
we go. Oh, let's pick it up now.
I don't know what you're about to do, but
this is very racist. I'm going to turn this off.
Great. Felix, you laugh so hard, your sides will ache. Your heart will go pitter-pat when you're watching Felix the Cat.
But Heathcliff, no one should terrorize the neighborhood. There's a race to be on top. Competition never stops. Is that right?
You should realize he can win it with you.
Oh, yeah, there we go. I'd go with Heathcliff as well. Let's move over.
I would win that case if it was me versus the two of you.
I don't know what just happened. I don't know. You guys are really freaking me out.
If we were
watching cat porn on the side, like what is going on?
No, not on the side.
On the front.
We got a question here from Zeta Ray Brian. Do you think there will ever be another Marvel DC crossover? If so, what do you think it will be?
I feel like, people ask for that a lot. And anytime we've talked to a creator about it, it's sort of like their almost white whale thing. But I don't think I don't think they're going to do it again.
Yeah.
The IP the larger corporations don't want that. And so they're not in it for the fun of creating the amalgam universe again. So I just don't think they're going to go that way.
Yeah. Pete, what's your take on it?
I mean, it's so much fucking tape and so much bullshit to like try to get things on the same screen. I would love it, but it's also, I don't know, it would be so weird. I don't know if my nerdy brain could accept it unless it was like something like you saw with Ready Player One, where it's like a world where you're playing a video game and people can be different characters and stuff like that. But other than that, like it would just be weird if like Spider-Man saw Superman fly by.
We've talked about this in like with different creators on the show. We talked to, I think, Scott Snyder about it because he had some teasing stuff about potentially Marvel whatever in some of his DC work. Donny Cates, we asked him the same thing because he had kind of teased some sort of Justice League-y thing. But I think that's the closest you're going to get is kind of teasy things, people having fun, third-party things where they're going to use analogs for the characters doing the things. But to your point, Justin, there's no real financial incentive for them to do it. So it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
We could just have it play out in our imaginations.
This is from Nick Grayson.
Wait, is that the imagination that fucks? Or just...
let me find a video for that.
Oh, my God.
What would be a big enough event or happening that would cross over the way Death of Superman did? That's a great question.
Ooh.
What's something that would go as big as Death of Superman?
That's hard.
Well, they did that.
They did that also.
Dan Slott did that. You were very upset, Pete.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, I don't know. The Death of Superman. The Death of Superman was at a time when comics was like peak collectability, like so many copies. Like it was also when it was like, the mainstream media was like, have you guys heard about these comic books? These things are wild. So I do think that was the right moment. Now there's so much exposure. It'd be hard to do something shocking in that way. Like what's the last big crossover media story based on actual comic book happenings?
I mean, mostly deaths, right? Like Death of Captain America was pretty big. I don't even think Death of Spider-Man really hit quite big in the same way. Maybe Captain America getting Hydra-ized. I think that kind of crossed over and became a whole thing as well.
That did cross over, yeah.
I think it would have to be something almost line or company wide to break over through because there's so many other things going on. It would have to be, you couldn't even do it with DC. It would have to be Marvel being like, hey, we are rebooting our entire line and now they're all teenagers. That's the sort of thing that would cross over. I don't think it would necessarily be received in the right way, but it's the sort of thing that it would seem like it affects the TV shows, it affects the movies. Of course, it doesn't necessarily, but that's certainly how people would frame it and talk about it. And given the mass media atmosphere that we're in right now, where everything does feel interconnected, that's what it has to hit on. It can't just be something comics. It needs to be able, in some way, feel like it's affecting everything.
Yeah, I mean, I think something like the death of the Avengers might be a thing if you're like really going so hard, sort of like your point, Alex, or even something that's like that feels topical in a relevant way. Like if it was, this isn't like, I don't know if this would work at this point, but like if Tony Stark got COVID and it was like this big thing, and finding a way to key it into an issue that everyone's also talking about, I think is a way to drive a narrative.
Or if like, Black Panther died, because of Chadwick Boseman or something,
That's another. Yeah,
that would be sad.
That's
Eduardo asks, I was thinking of how long it has been since we had a new Saga issue. Do you think it will come back? Any other comics with long gaps that you're looking forward to?
I mean, the Saga thing, it is like that. This is a planned break, though. So it's not like it ended publication and is coming back from zero. And how many other comics have done anything like that with that sort of purposeful move?
Yeah, no, I don't know. I mean, they're still working on it, so it's going to come out at some point. And I think it'll do great. It does feel like when they come back, maybe they need to actually head it towards its end game and be like, check it out. It's the last 12 issues or 24 or 36 or whatever issues of Saga or something like that, because I'll follow it for the rest of my life, and that's fine. And I think most people will do that too.
Wow.
Well, I'm just framing it this way because I do think
Saga
there's a
or
certain
die,
sense of, if it comes back and like Saga's back, some people will say, yeah, how many issues though? Until
but I
take
think
a break again.
Josh in the comments, I believe that he's right. It was the halfway point. This is just the first half of the story. And I think they said the only way they're going to go forward is if Alex Zalbin's blood flows.
They're putting it in the comic book, right?
Saga to finish.
All right, here goes.
Gotta end.
Gotta finish it off.
You said you would, Alex. You said you'd read it for the rest of your life.
There we go. Agitato over on YouTube says, have you guys seen the Snyder Cut yet? I'm seeing reviews are out, and it sounds good. What did you all think if you've seen it? Thank you for the prompt, Agitato.
Yeah, exactly. Alex just teeing up. Digging through the comments, finding what he needs.
I've seen Zack Snyder's Justice League. And I'm happy to answer questions about it if anybody has anything. I feel like, I don't know. I have a lot of conflicting feelings about it. I don't obviously don't love how we got here necessarily with the Snyder Cut. That it exists. I think the subtotal of it is like, it's fine. There's stuff that is very, very atrociously, like, cringeworthingly bad. So if you're looking for that, great. There'll be plenty of stuff to hate watch. There's actually stuff that I thought was really good in it that I really enjoyed. The problem is that overall it's 4 hours long and it's not really a movie. It's an amalgamation of scenes that they finish the effects on, but don't necessarily come together as a cohesive story. It gets better as it goes along. There's a point where it starts to get a rhythm and a story to it, and clearly they had actually filmed enough footage, because Zack Snyder only filmed, I think, like 2/3 of the movie, I think. And then that's what he's assembling this off of, as well as a new coda that he filmed that is god-awful and terrible. If you really want to hate watch something, go to 3:30 of the movie and just watch from there, because the last half hour is increasingly bonkers. But before that, the resolution is good. Like, the final fight is pretty solid. Zack Snyder is a visual filmmaker. You know, he's not good at story, but so the visuals are often very good. That's sort of the broad strokes of it. Absolutely nobody should absolutely do this ever in a million years. But the thing that I will say that I got the most out of it is after I watched the Snyder cut, I watched the theatrical cut.
The ultimate punishment.
This is what I'm saying. Nobody should sit down and watch 6 hours of Justice League. But from a filmmaking perspective, I thought it was really fascinating because there were things that were clearly way worse about the theatrical cut, which is not a good movie at all. But there are things where you see they were straining to put continuity, not just in the movie itself, but also with the other movies of the series, through things where there's big additions of scenes where Batman and Wonder Woman don't have an emotional arc in the Snyder cut. They do in the theatrical cut. So that was completely whole-handed edited in. But then there's little things like insert shots that were changed to make things make more sense. Or when characters' backs are turned, they did little bits of ADR to be like, oh, is that what you're talking about? Yes, now this makes sense. And just little lines of dialogue like that. So again, nobody needs to watch 6 hours of Justice League, but honestly, that for me was the most enriching part, is just getting a sense of how did this work? Why did they change? What went wrong? What went right? And being able to compare the two.
I think that we're sort of witnessing the future, though, because I do think, Marvel's in a unique place because they just drive eyes through their content and through just like doing a good job making it. But Pete woke up from his nap for a little sip and then back to sleep.
Well, just, let me know when the Netflix is over and we can get back to this shit.
It's not a Netflix. It's offering information.
But I will say, I do think this is a way for movies like Justice League to be like, oh, you liked it in theaters? We'll come back for the extended cut where it's going to be this much longer, and we're going to include a bunch of stuff that was not good enough for before, but now it's fine.
Well, then there's other things which are interesting, like the other thing that I did like the most about the Snyder cut and is fascinating from the behind the scenes perspective. I'm sure everybody is very familiar with the amount of flack back and forth with Ray Fisher, who played Cyborg in the movie, where he has come out very strongly saying he was abused on set by Joss Whedon, by other people involved in the production. I don't know anything about that necessarily, but he is a totally different character in the two cuts of the movie. They clearly reshot basically everything with him. And in the movie, he's a pretty straightforward, I don't know how to use my powers. I'm a cyborg. Now I'm a hero. Booyah. And that's pretty much it. In the Snyder cut, he gets a whole, actually very good emotional arc. Joe Morton, who plays his father, Silas Stone, is actually a character as well, and they have a really good connection between each other. He's more of a kind of Frankenstein monster character who is lurching around and horrified by his own body, but wants to do the right thing, and ultimately plays really big into the resolution of the film. And it's wild how much they changed it. So just on the level of he got to do this really poignant, powerful character and basically his own cyborg movie in the middle of Justice League, and that was all ditched, I get kind of where he's coming from.
Yeah.
I just don't think you get to put out a piece of shit like Justice League and then get to do another 4-hour piece of shit. That's not right. You shouldn't be able to do that.
But Pete, you're the biggest fan of the DC movies on this podcast.
Correct.
Okay, just trying to figure out where you are in here.
Just a couple of quick things that I'll hit very quickly, just in terms of questions people are asking, and then we can move on for this. But Bandito740 over on YouTube says, do you think the combination of the original film and the Snyder cut can be made into something that you would totally like? I don't think so, because they just don't go together. There are things like the theatrical cut, the color correction is entirely different. It's bright. Like, they lightened up absolutely everything. There are scenes in the Snyder cut that take place at night that they changed to day. It's wild. So they just don't necessarily fit together. But yeah, some enterprising fan could take like Batman and Wonder Woman and Ark, put it in the Snyder cut, make a 5-hour movie if you really want to, and maybe there would be something you could cobble out of that, but it's still not a good film.
It's fundamentally flawed because of the script. The intention of the script was just, it wasn't in the right spot. Like it was trying to be a Marvel movie while also being like a dark DC movie, and it failed in both regards, I think.
Yeah. And then over here on Crowdcast, Stray Bullet says, is there now a Steppenwolf and Darkseid fight? I won't get into spoilers, I guess, if people want to check it, but they make some super weird decisions with Steppenwolf and Darkseid. They're both not particularly interesting villains here. And in fact, there was one thing that made me honestly, like the one part that I was sort of just comic book fan rage nerd out is what they did with Darkseid at one point in the movie, where I was like, you're treating him like a fucking punk and he should be the biggest bad in the entire universe. So that made me very annoyed. But then I guess people will be happy that he is restored to be the uber bad by the end there. Steppenwolf is just not interesting, though, in both versions. And I think that, Zeta Ray Bryan said, is DCE continuity following the Snyder Cut? The thing that came out during this, initially they had planned Justice League Part 1 and Justice League Part 2, and then when both Man of Steel and Batman v Superman underperformed, they downsized to one Justice League. Snyder was still trying to make it a multi-part thing. They reshot it, recut it, and you can see in the theatrical version it has a definitive conclusion. Not only did he restore it to its ambiguous ending for the Snyder Cut, he also started saying, oh yeah, it was supposed to be 3 movies, actually. So that's part of the reason the last half hour is trash to the point that I was mad at him taking this thing that fans have been asking for years and putting out the absolute shittiest last half hour he possibly can. Because before that, and I know it's insane to say this, but like from hour 2 to hour 3.5.
I thought you were going to say before that, best 3.5 hours of my life.
No, it's really not. But like they split it into 6 parts. And like from part 3 on, it's okay. And then the conclusion, because it's all a fight scene and he's good at choreographic fight scenes, is fine. It's good and it's fun to watch, for the most part, with some quibbles that I have here and there. But after that, like the coda he shot, and I'll just say this, sorry if you don't want spoilers, turn away, but one of the last things that happen is they go back to the nightmare world where Batman is there and there's a bunch of other heroes, the one that you saw in Batman v Superman, that's where the Joker shows up. It's a piece of shit. Like, it looks like a piece of shit is my bigger problem, where they shot it on sound stages. Nobody is in the same place. They shot it in COVID. And everybody is the individual shots, and the rest of the time he has like this very steady camera where he's following everything and you can see everything. Instead here it's like close up of Ben Affleck and then Jared Leto talking about wanting to give Batman a reach around, and you're like, what are you doing? Why is this happening?
That's very canonical, though. I love the idea that Ben Affleck stuff was like, I don't want to fly to wherever you're shooting this. Just get me over Zoom. I'll just get really close to the camera.
That's exactly what they did. And they did it with Ezra Miller too, because he was shooting Fantastic Beasts. They were like, yeah, just get on a green screen and I'll direct you on Zoom. It doesn't work.
Woof.
It's awful. But
you gotta watch it.
But it's fucking awesome, man. And it finally happened, and I'm so excited. Release the Snyder Cut. I don't know. I think a lot of people are going to be either super shitty about it or too excited about it. And it's somewhere in between. So if you really want to spend 4 hours watching it, go wild. Pablo wants to know, is the Omega Blast in it? Yes, I geeked out about that a little bit. Darkseid under the water fighting Aquaman and doing the Omega Beams. That's cool. That's fun. But, it's also 4 hours long. Watch it on YouTube, I guess.
Wow.
Here we go. Let's see. We got one last question here. Pablo says, what did you think of the Snyder Cut? Well, great question, Pablo.
Oh my God.
No, he says, now that the movie theaters are opening again, what movie are you going to see as soon as it opens? Pete, have you changed your mind from last week? We kind of addressed this last week. Have you revised your opinion, or are you still staying out of theaters forever?
I'm going to stay out of theaters until, things are okay or feel comfortable. But I don't know, man. I really want to see Black Widow, but I don't know what's going to happen.
Justin, what about you?
I mean, Black Widow's the one. That's sort of the next one, right? I mean, though I'm looking quickly at it, Nobody, the Bob Odenkirk.
Oh yeah,
sort of that's good. I want to see that.
Man, yeah, I did. I don't know, the stupid thing that I'm.
Are you going to Netflix all over us again?
No, this is definitely not a Netflix
I
because
thought you were gonna be like, well,
kind of,
I interviewed Bob Odenkirk and we did like a,
we watched this movie with this cat that fucks. It was very cool. No, I'm kind of with you, Pete, where it's nerve wracking, but on your side, Justin, in the back of my head, I'm like, man, it'd be really nice to get the second dose of that vaccine 2 or 3 weeks before Black Widow comes out. That would be pretty cool.
How much time do we have? What's the countdown?
What is it? Month and a half, I guess.
Yeah, right? Because is it the first weekend in May?
Yeah. Eddie C says, what about Kong versus Godzilla? And I'm kind of like, anything that's being released on HBO Max, I am fine watching it on HBO Max.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, May 7th, Black Widow, the three of us, we're going.
I want to
I'll see you there, guys.
Get your vax.
Get it vaxxed so we can see it. I just want to say a little bit on Kong versus Godzilla. This is something that I'm not looking forward to at all. I've rooted for both of them for most of my life, and I don't want to see them fight each other. I don't know how this is going to unfold or how I should. I mean, how do you root for one versus the other? It's
here. I don't want to spoil too much of the plot. I don't want to spoil too much of the plot, but about 2/3 of the way through the movie, they discover that both their mothers are named Mothra, and they team up to fight the big bad guy.
Good. Pete, wait, you don't want them to fight, but you do want them to kiss?
I want them to kiss.
I want them to team up and take on other baddies, but I root for both of them, and I can't root for one versus the other here. This is
here. Imagine how I feel. I've been a big fan of buildings my whole life, and I'm worried that they're going to get totally trashed.
Oh man,
I've been rooting for the buildings in all these movies, and you know what? I never get a win. Never. All these movies, Godzilla gets to come out with on top of the buildings.
Brood.
Sorry.
And that is it for your audience questions. Thank you, everybody. We're now going to turn it over to Pete for our next section, which is trivia. So all you need to do is, we already got a hand up.
Well, we got first pop. I don't know if you noticed his comment earlier, and I'm not setting up an impression of a cat by any means, but first hand up guy said that his cat is going to do trivia.
Oh wow!
His cat is ready.
Should I bring him in?
And we've had a pretty feline themed episode so far tonight. So I say we ride it out.
Let's see how it works.
$50 says this is a baseball mitt with cat ears on it.
Oh boy. Oh, is this a? Oh no! Actually, it's happening. Hey!
Here we go. Wow, Alex, tell us. Give us the BTS.
You see this, buddy?
There it is.
Coming for you. That's coming for you, Nat.
Wow.
Hey, Nat. Welcome.
Great
We're
to
going to do
see
some
you,
trivia
Nat.
with Pete. Where's your cat?
Yeah, where's your cat?
Away, but I'm trying to coax her from a distance. Come here.
Oh, this is a scam.
Come here.
We were lied to.
Oh, yeah. I'll get my cat.
Should I go get a cat?
Yeah.
Yeah, step away for a second.
Coming.
Yeah.
Move this van.
Here in Freebird?
Yeah.
I'm here in Freebird.
Get a
Oh,
cat.
you guys
there's
vamp
my
on the-
dog. There's my dog.
All right.
That was a chicken, Alex.
Roger.
Well, first off, Nat, you need to do laundry. You got way too many fuzzies on your
that's
hoodie
gross.
there. You know. Oh, it's got an actual cat.
Look at that nuzzle.
There we go.
Oh, look at the cat. Love.
For
Okay,
those-
do you
for
remember
those
how you guys
listening
were
at
talking
home-
about which cat you want to be your lawyer? This guy who doesn't
Yeah.
want to be here.
That's good. For those of you listening
you
at
guys were
home,
saying-
Nat is holding a New York City rat that he thinks is a cat.
Don't
With
you
my
dare.
mouth. Yeah.
That cat is adorable. Don't you dare say that.
I'm not shitting on the cat. The cat's a beautiful cat.
No, it's just a good audio visual gag for the
It's-
home
For the
listening
audio
audience.
podcast, it's great.
Sorry, people listening
Pete,
at home.
take it away with
All
a little-
right.
Wait, what's your
Cool.
cat's
Wait,
name?
Pete, its name is Foggy.
No.
No, it's not.
Yes, 100%. And you were talking about which cat you want to be your lawyer.
No way. That's
Wild.
not your cat's real name.
That's
100%.
No
That's
way.
amazing.
All right, Pete, take it away with
I'm
some
amazed I
trivia.
haven't told you that before.
I can't believe that's all right. You gotta move.
I mean,
forward.
honestly,
All right.
ever since we've been reading Daredevil comics, Pete is like, I want to change Foggy Nelson's litter box, so let him over. He'll do it for you.
I did it tonight, so you can have to wait.
Jealous.
All right.
Sorry. Yeah. Not
today's
to brag.
Today's trivia is on topical comic news and a small nod to the legend Neil Peart. All right. Please listen to all three options before you pick your choice. All right, here we go. Question number 1. What is spinning out of the Immortal Hulk series? Is it A, something gross, B, a new Alpha Flight comic, or is it C, Nick Kroll? So it's either A or it's B.
Oh, I'm going to say it's B, a new Alpha Flight comic.
That is correct, sir.
Not to jump in here, but that's actually incorrect. The new comic is Gamma Flight.
Yeah, but it's Alpha Flight.
Don't you dare come for the
Spin-off
king.
Gamma Flight.
Nope.
Don't fucking...
Nope,
Dude,
different team.
Yeah,
different
but it's Gamma
letter.
Flight is spun out of the Alpha Flight comic.
Nope, it's spun out of Immortal Hulk.
You fucking piece of shit. You're wrong. You're wrong.
Definitely not wrong.
It is Gamma Flight, but that's spinned out of an Alpha Flight comic.
This
so
is hurting me. This
Not
is
in
like
this case.
watching Kong and...
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I don't need to
Really
go to the movie
You want me
theater.
to fucking
It's
send
like
you the
watching
Newsarama article I get my shit from, you fucking dick?
Well, they're wrong.
Don't
not
let us
wrong.
know.
And anybody they hire
I think
as
Pete is
journalists
Kong.
is wrong.
Alex,
Yes.
Wow. This is Godzilla, right? Peter's
T-
Kong.
tell us about therapy real quick, Nat, while you're here.
I go twice a week, and look how much calmer I am than all of you.
Well, you suck.
All right, here we go. Question number 2. Towards the end of March, who is Batman teaming up with? Is it A, Scooby-Doo, B, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, or is it C, Jane Lynch? So it's either A, Scooby-Doo, or you could be completely wrong.
I'm gonna have to go at your impartial advisement with A, Scooby-Doo.
That is correct. Bringing up
Nice.
a classic team up of Batman and Scooby-Doo, just like the cartoons. Those were good times. All right, here we go. Last question. What state doesn't look inviting from the teaser image of the upcoming arc for Undiscovered Country? Is it A, Alaska, B, Florida, or is it C, Richard
What
Fancy?
Cheshire Cat riddle did you just ask me?
Yeah, watch out. He's in your head,
Which
dude.
state doesn't look appealing is the question?
That's right. That's right.
Okay,
In
okay.
the teaser for
In the teaser.
Undiscovered Country. Is it A, Alaska, pick that one, or is it B, Florida?
Okay, I'm going to say A, Alaska doesn't look appealing.
That
That is correct.
All right. Great job, Nat. You've gotten $25 from Midtown Comics. We'll get that off to you. It'll be cool. Do you want to take a guess as to what thing Pete was referring to with his third answers?
And keep in mind, Neil Peart, the person he referenced, is not an actor, but the drummer from Rush.
Yeah,
That's
much
right.
I pieced together, and I remember Jane Lynch, but not the other the
All right,
other
well,
options.
first
I'm going to
off-
say the episode of Glee where they did 2112 Overture a cappella version.
Well,
Oh, interesting
Nice
fact
guess.
here from the comments. Pete, did you first encounter marijuana at a Rush concert?
see, that's what's the problem with having your girlfriend in the comments. I just want to say
I'm done with this. Never mind.
Neil Peart made a cameo in one movie and one movie only, and it's not credited on IMDb. I had to do a lot of research to find this out.
I wouldn't call it a
Adventures-
lot of. I wouldn't call it a lot of research.
It's a lot of research. Adventures of Power is the movie where all of
Wow.
those actors are in it.
Can you go back to Robin Williams?
I never thought we'd say that.
He had some
never thought
TV
we'd say
appearances you didn't get to, I think. There might have been like a special that came out on DVD.
You begged me to move on from Robin Williams, and now
Well,
No, that's not
yeah.
true. They spoke to you frankly about the limited relation between that segment and the rest of the show. I don't think it was begging.
What? We've never had regrets in our lives? Ever heard of out of the frying pan and into the confusing fire?
Confusing sub quiz fire.
Yeah.
All right, Nat, I'm going to kick you out of this stream here, but thank you for coming on.
Wouldn't
Always
be the
good to
first
see
guy.
you.
Great to see Great to see you, Nat.
All right, there we go. As we all know, tomorrow is New Comic Book Day.
no
unless
way
you're
his
DC.
cat's actually named Foggy.
It 100%
See what
is.
happens.
No way.
As we all know, new comics come out tomorrow, except for DC Comics, which are already out, and some Comixology comics and other comics. So it's just New Comics Week. What are you looking forward to that is out this week, Pete?
Well, there are two really great things I'm looking forward to. First one is Headlopper number 15. And the second one is Nightwing number 78. I was very surprised at how much I love this comic.
Whoa, nice.
Justin, what about you?
I got to give it up for this brand new book called Ultra Mega, number 1, coming out tomorrow by James Herron. And it is rumored to be very good and surprisingly dark. It's about sort of a kaiju book, and I'm not into that usually. And this book is going to be, I assume, so good.
Really dancing around that. I like it. I would potentially agree with you tomorrow on the Stack podcast.
Yes.
Wednesday at 9 a.m. when we actually talk about Ultra Mega.
Because we do it then. That's when we do it.
Mm-hmm. We record it live. One other thing that I'll shout out, though, which we really like the first issue of, and I'm excited to check out the second issue, another Image book, Radiant Black. This is a book very reminiscent of Invincible in the same sort of way. A superhero gets some powers. They're very weird. He doesn't understand them, and he is continuing to deal with them in the second issue. But it feels fun and creative. This is from Kyle Higgins, who has written some good books before, if you know his work. Yes, we all call him Higgy.
Goes by Higgy.
Exactly. And again, all of that stuff is going to be on the Stack Podcast Wednesday, 9 a.m. And that is it for our show, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate it. Shout out to our amazing guests today. We had James Emmett and Kirsten Thompson from I Am Hexed. Also, Karl Stevens from Penny. I Am Hexed has a Kickstarter right now running for the next 40-ish hours or so. Karl Stevens' Penny is coming out 4/20, so Pete can go to a Rush concert like he always does and then read his cat books.
By the way, I won't be here on 4/20.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
You won't remember being here. I think it's what you said.
Next week on the show, we're going to have two great guests. Jason Torres from True TV is here, as well as Kaya Quinn from YouTube's Released.
Torres!
Yeah, Torres. Haven't seen him in a while, so that should be fun. Also, a bunch of other things to plug. We have a bunch of other podcasts. Riverdale After Dark, our Riverdale podcast, runs Wednesdays after that show. Marvel Vision, our Marvel podcast, kicking off Falcon and the Winter Soldier this week, so check that out on Friday. American Godcast, our American Gods podcast, has one more episode to go on Sunday. Also, Podvincible, our Invincible podcast, or possibly Kirkmania.
Kirkmania!
We don't know. We don't know what it's called. Could be Mustache Talk. That is
probably
launching.
Not Kirkmania, though.
It probably should be Kirkmania, though.
We'll see what happens. That is launching a new episode on Thursday. We'll have a feed set up for that soon. Patreon.com/Comic Book Club, iTunes, Android, Spotify, Stitcher, or the app of your choice to subscribe and listen to the show at Comic Book Live on Twitter. You may already be watching there, but Comic Book Club on YouTube. Check that out. ComicBookClubLive.com for this podcast and more. Until next time, good night.
Take care, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. We appreciate it. Have a great night.
Good night, kittens.